Microphone check, 1, 2, what is this? It's the 5'7" assassin in the podcast business. I am your host, Rohan Patra, the rap music plug at your service.
Here we are again at the end of a rainbow.
The Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV is the remedy to the I don't have anything good to listen to problem. Through in-depth album and song reviews, as well as artist interviews and general rap commentary sprinkled in between on all of what the mainstream and underground rap scenes have to offer, this is your one-stop shop to knowing what to add to your queue, play next, or pop into your record player. Welcome to the show. What is up, family? I hope you're enjoying the updated presentation that I brought to this show with the help from Big Flowers on the video production side, who crafted a beautifully marvelous video animation style to the podcast that I'm really in love with. And then we have Blood Blixing, who created the intro and outro beat, who made something that was spot on, exactly what I was looking for. I'm really happy to share this with you all because I'm just really proud, to put it simply. I'm just really proud that the podcast is at the point to where I feel very good about what we're creating here. So thank you for all your support for those who are listening. More improvements like a website, Patreon, all of those are to come. I just need to make time for it, but I will get that done, I promise you. I'm really looking forward to it. So today we're talking about a highly anticipated album for me, and that is True Sky by AKAI Solo and Navy Blue. AKAI Solo is a New York rapper who has been bubbling in the underground for the last couple years now. My first introduction to him was his guest verse on Billy Woods' Terror Management album from 2019. But what got me and many others to really tap into this man's work was his show-stopping feature on Arm & Hammer's Shrines album from 2020. From then on, I dove into his back catalog because the density and tangible knowledge in his lyricism was something I was just so enamored by. I really liked his Mad Space collab with producer Iblis and his collaborative album with Best Friend in particular, like Hajime. That was a truly great album and my favorite AKAI record going into True Sky. Navy Blue, the New York producer and rapper for this album, took 2020 by the throat and dropped a great record in Ada Irin that I loved. The intimacy and pure feelings of authenticity were greatly received over this ultra delicate, self-produced, sample-based instrumental bed that he created for us. It was, however, though, Song of Sage, which dropped at the tail end of 2020, that truly stopped me dead in my tracks. This is in that personal classic conversation for me and has grown on me even more since my already very positive review of this that dropped in episode 25 of the show. Navy dropped incredible wisdom in each and every bar with an energy that was so calming and peaceful. It honestly played a big part in getting my mind right throughout these past few months for me, which have been pretty tough mentally to say the least. So this brings us all to True Sky, which I was highly anticipating, so much so that I even pre-ordered the vinyl, which is not typical of me. So I think it makes sense to start with the lyricism of this album, as it is the clear focal point of this project. The lyrical themes AKAI usually explores on True Sky are that of knowledge of self, spirituality, and liberation from either oppressive structures or liberation from the ways modern society controls people mentally, which serves as the lens in which AKAI uses to make observations about those around him and society as a whole. You know, many rappers provide quote-unquote wisdom in their music to varying degrees. However, the pitfalls of doing this often are in unoriginal ideas or overly complex messaging that just goes over someone's head and just doesn't resonate with them. AKAI, on the other hand, has an intelligence that is abundantly clear, but most importantly, he knows how to get his point across in highly original ways that makes what he's saying that much more impactful. He knows how to balance poetic word choices and tangible, clearly articulated ideas that make his lyrics actually digestible, even if the subject matter is quite heavy. There are so many impressive bars here, but I want to highlight just a few. If you don't want to be here, I implore leaving. Approach your liberation with imperative concern. People love to project not knowing on someone that might, off of wound cries. There's so much there, but particularly it shows how he balances this method of saying things in very interesting, non-basic ways, while also making the message very concrete and digestible. Off of the closing track, he says, "Human error, one of life's thorough professors," which is so beautiful, so wise. And again, instead of saying something like, you learn most from your mistakes, he says this remarkably eloquent statement that really sticks in your mind and is also rooted in absolute truth. The other part of AKAI's lyricism that I find really special is how grounded he comes across, which explains the few interludes here on mindfulness and mental clarity that expand upon this idea. Often these more serious topics can be communicated with a certain level of heavy-handedness or a toxic, puritanical condescension that I think is infecting modern-day discourse. With AKAI, he stands firm in his beliefs with a palpable confidence that I can really respect, but explores these weighty topics with love and understanding at its core. This is a big reason why I think this album works so well, because this is exactly something that I often say about the producer for this album, Navy Blue. Navy and AKAI share a common bond that is absolutely clear as day. These are the kinds of people that are true leaders, whose words can genuinely lead us to a better tomorrow, which makes this album incredibly wholesome to listen to. What makes True Sky even better, though, is that this supremely insightful lyricism is matched by great flows and great production. AKAI has this indescribable way of rapping that I think has monotony to it, surely, but has grown on this album to showcase subtle urgency in particular moments and verses, and I think is the most impressive it's ever been. As there were some times on previous albums where I wanted a bit more oomph behind his vocal delivery to build some more tension in the music. But on True Sky, I think he shows a lot of growth in that department. As for the production, Navy's instrumentals complemented AKAI beautifully. Navy gave AKAI a very rich and grand soundscape to rap over, which I think brought a certain immediacy to the otherwise dense but powerful lyricism from AKAI that makes you feel like you need to absolutely pay attention. The production adds a certain level of drama to this album that I really appreciate. How Navy achieves this is through creating sample-based instrumentals that are exquisitely jazzy, glitchy, and heavily incorporate horns, saxophone into the mix that make this album feel very grand. Ocean Hue Hours features these absolutely wailing horns that are so fantastic. The closing track is so triumphant and a beautiful way for AKAI to close this off with a bang. I really appreciated that way to end the album. The other notable aspect of this production, though, is that it blends tasteful pieces of jazz with such a distinctly engaging rhythm and percussion section. What True Sky really crystallized for me in Navy's production is the mechanical nature of it all. The drum patterns and the choice of percussion throughout this album are incredibly interesting to me. The mix of modern hi-hats, 808s, along with these super strange, glitchy rhythms make for a very interesting mix. No doubt's bongo drums atop the mechanical hats and hand claps is something that I wouldn't think would work so well, but it's absolute ear candy. I love it. It's marvelous. I also love the underwater drums that play on John Wick that give the song such a nice texture. Incursio Fur's repetitive horn loop over these diverse set of drums are amazingly engaging. This navy blue mix of sound give these often repetitive, looped samples of string and brass a certain knock and head nodding rhythm to it due to these intricate drums on just about every track that is absolutely marvelous. The beats are so rich and crunchy. The Keep the Poise beat is absolutely fucking perfect. I love the warbly guitar alongside the percussion that has this crisp snare and something that sounds like dice rolling subtly playing throughout the mix that sounds magical. Navy really is a phenomenal producer. The reservations, though, I have with this record all fall in the second half of this album. Basically, right after Incursio Fur, the last handful of tracks I think make this album drag on a bit more than it needed. None of these are bad by any stretch of the imagination, but save for World's End and Wound Cries, I don't think they added a whole lot of new elements or angles to this album. Especially since AKAI's delivery is not the most varied, these songs featured the most low-key and simplistic beats of the entire collection of beats that Navy made for this album, which I didn't think was a good idea to all place simultaneously in the back half. Songs like Twice Twilight and New York didn't grab me like the rest of this album did. If the beats don't bring that sense of grandness that I mentioned beforehand, or didn't bring that exceptional, intricate percussion, these songs fail to really pop after already hearing 30 plus minutes of more engaging versions of the same content. But I think at the end of the day, True Sky shows a ton of growth in AKAI, lyrically and delivery-wise, with his best rapping performance to date. And I do think this pairing with Navy was perfect. It made perfect sense. I just don't think he has fully mastered the art of brevity and punchiness in his albums. I think a tighter track list would have brought this album up another level. Because as an artist like AKAI, who already makes music that takes a great deal of mental energy to take in, any redundancies or unnecessary fat on an album like this makes the album feel like it's dragging, unfortunately, as there isn't some remarkable catchiness or infectious songwriting to kind of compensate for these redundancies or less engaging beats. Still, I have to say, I was thoroughly impressed with True Sky. Both AKAI and Navy are such important artists in today's music landscape. You absolutely need to check this album out, and I give it a low to mid 8 on 10. So this concludes today's episode of the Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV. I hope this episode gave you some fresh new perspectives on the latest rap releases, as well as a recommendation for the next great rap record to add to your collection. If you're an artist looking to level up your career, getting more gigs, album sales, merch sales, whatever it may be, I would love to help you with that by providing you artist development and writing services. So if you're interested, contact me via email at qlctv.podcast@gmail.com or hit me up via Twitter or Instagram at Rohview, ROHVIEW. I would be honored to lend my expertise and help you grow your career as an artist. And also for regular rap fans that just want to hear more quality commentary on the genre, follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well. For exclusive content and updates related to the show, follow the Rap Music Plug podcast on Facebook to help the show grow and ensure that everyone's listening to the best rap music at all times. Follow the show on the podcast platform of your choice. Make sure you leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts so that the show can be spotlighted by that wonderful algorithm and be exposed to more people. You can find all of this information along with exclusive playlists created by myself by clicking the link that's in the episode's notes. So that's all for today. Talk to you soon. Peace.